An article in the New York Times on April 2nd really caught my eye. It talks about a new trend in virtual reality that could be very advantageous for educational field trips and research in the future. An infographic from EdTech lists immersive virtual reality as one of the educational trends in the year 2040. It's kind of hard to see, but it's down here, 2040, and it says immersive virtual reality. Quite likely, though, it will be a reality, no pun intended, much sooner than that, due to the fact that it is a natural extension of a lot of technology that currently exists. Movies, video conferencing, smartphone, and of course the internet. There are apps that will monitor your pulse rate for you and display the information on your phone. There's also a virtual game out there called Ingress, which is using the phone, but you actually have to go outside and look at it, so it interacts with you. The article mentions Stanford University's Virtual Human Interaction Lab, which has a link to this article on the home page. The current price for the goggles, well, that's a staggering $30,000 at the moment. Hopefully, the price will come down a lot. Otherwise, not many of us will be able to afford them. Using such technology in the future, a student could potentially read a digital book about Stonehenge or other ancient place and feel like they were actually part of the history. By reading further into the article, we get a description of just how virtual reality works. A computer-generated image is transmitted to both eyes in response to a person's movements. One wonders how the technology would work for a person with sight in only one eye or in completely blind people. Would the experience be different for colorblind people also? These are questions we have yet to answer. Virtual meetings would be a whole lot easier for an introvert to attend, and a lot more people could attend each session without invading each other's space. Here is a link to this very interesting article. I'll give you a moment to copy it down in case you're interested. Now, for the rest of this presentation, follow me as I take you on a brief journey of some of the virtual trips that now exist on the internet. Try to imagine, as you're watching these, that you have those goggles and how much more each one would be an experience for you. Let's start with the National Gallery in London. Of course, we don't need our passports in order to get there. Let's choose full screen for a better view of it. Wow. Just look at this painting. If we want more information about it, we just have to click here, and it's called The Hay Wain by John Constable. Want to go to a different room? Let's check out room number 16. And how about we go check out this painting? A landscape with a river by a wood. What a pretty sight. Can't you just imagine being there in the gallery looking at that picture? This virtual tour has 18 different rooms at the present time that you can visit. Here is the link to that if you want to take the tour yourself. It's very interesting. nationalgallery.org.uk, visiting virtual tour. How about we go inside Stonehenge, since that was already mentioned in my presentation. Kind of neat without the goggles, but just imagine what it would be like with those goggles as well. Those little things are hotspots which you can get more information. Appearance of the stones is kind of interesting. Let's take a listen to that.
The stones at Stonehenge today look quite different from how they would have appeared when Stonehenge was first built. They look quite grey and weathered, and they've stood here for over 4,000 years. Originally, when they were erected, we know from the laser scan that they were pecking off the outer weathered surface of the sarsens to reveal a sort of white, very bright appearance underneath, and that would have looked quite dramatic. The sarsens being white, and then the blue stones being quite dark blue. There's quite a lot of graffiti still visible on the stone, some of it quite old, and it seems that tourists and visitors to Stonehenge were leaving their names on the stones and even chipping off bits of the stones to take home as souvenirs. There's a story that if you came to Stonehenge in the Victorian period, you could go to the local town and hire a hammer to come and chip off your bit of souvenir to take home. The stones at Stonehenge today look quite different from how they would have appeared when Stonehenge was first built. They look quite grey and weathered, and they've stood here for over 4,000 years. Originally, when they were erected, we know from the laser scan that what we can see here are some early Bronze Age carvings. These are just two carvings of many that are on the stones at Stonehenge. Stonehenge was built in about 2500 BC, about 4,500 years ago, and these were carved onto the stones several hundred years later. These ones were discovered in 1953 by an archaeologist called Richard Atkinson, and he was actually trying to photograph this graffiti, and he noticed the carvings at that time. Since then, we've had many more surveys, and recently a laser survey of the stones has shown that there are about 115 of these carvings on the stones. We don't really know why people chose to carve these axes and daggers on the stones at Stonehenge. At the time they're carved, this whole area is the centre of many Bronze Age round barrows, so burial mounds, and the people buried inside those mounds were often buried with very rich goods, including lots of metal items, such as these axes and daggers. So it might be that for these people metal was very important, and they might have been trying to add the symbol of their society, metal, onto the Stone Age monument of Stonehenge.
This altar stone, we have a photo where my uncle is actually sitting on this when they were in England. Okay, let's go to the Smithsonian now. Let's take a close-up look at the Hope Diamond. Wow, can you imagine wearing that around your neck? That is amazing. That is www.mnh.si.edu. That's kind of a neat tour. Now, personally, I like train rides. So I was fortunate enough to find a virtual train ride. And for our last virtual trip, let's take this train ride from April of 2003 from Frimley Lodge Miniature Railway in Frimley Green, Surrey. So let's begin. Kind of get the feeling you're on an actual little miniature train? I do. Uh-oh, there's another train coming. Oh good, it's on a different track. That was close. Surprise, people. I'm not going to show you the rest of it. That's just so you can go in there and take the virtual tour yourself and see the end of it. I really hope you have enjoyed our little excursion into immersive virtual reality. Let's really hope those price of those goggles comes down, because I would be very interested in it. Thank you for your time.